guys, it's Maddie, and today I'll be doing a review on The Coldest Girl in COLDTOWN by Holly Black. So this is my first book I have ever read from Holly Black, and I'm so excited to talk about this book because I loved it. So this will be a spoiler-free review, so if you are interested in this book, then just keep on watching. So let's just go into the summary. So this book is about a world where vampires exist, and the vampire disease has become kind of an outbreak. With these vampires, how it works is when you are bitten by a vampire, you are infected, but you do not turn into a full-on vampire until you drink human blood. But you can avoid becoming a full-on vampire if you wait 88 days for the vampire disease to leave your system, or if you just want to go ahead and be a vampire, you can just drink human blood and the vampire transformation will be complete. Throughout this world, there are these walled cities called cold towns where it's sort of like a quarantine place where all vampires are kept away from the rest of society, and anyone who is infected by being bitten can go there where they can ride out the virus, or where people who are already turned into vampires can live there, but if they live there, then they can never get out. So this book starts off with our main character, Tana, and it is the morning after a party, and she finds herself passed out in the bathtub where this party is at, and she goes downstairs, and there she sees that everyone in the party has been massacred. There's blood everywhere. Everyone has been killed except for her, it seems. But when she checks out the rest of her house, in one of the rooms there is her ex-boyfriend tied up, and in that same room is a vampire who is also tied up. And the story just starts off from there. So we're going to start off with the characters. First we have the main character, Tana. I was kind of wary about it at first, like she was interesting in a way, but I didn't get more intrigued into her character until later. She really came off as that typical YA main character. But we do get to see her backstory in this book. There are a few chapters where we get to see her backstory that is super tragic and just really made me feel for her. And so I really liked seeing that. I also think she's so lovable. She's an easy character to fall in love with, and she is super strong. And I also think she is incredibly smart. She is in such a bizarre situation within this world, but she is very smart. She thinks steps ahead on how she can get out of the situation she's in, and I really admire that about her. I just really like characters who are strong mentally more than physically. I just think they're so interesting. Another thing I love about her is that she would laugh at the most inappropriate moments. Like, sometimes that could be annoying, but in her case it wasn't. Like, something so serious would be happening, and she would just burst out into hysterical laughter, and it's kind of just a nervous tick of hers. I thought it was so entertaining. I'm like, girl, why are you laughing when something this serious is happening? It was just hilarious. I found myself laughing along with her at the absurdity of it. And then we have Aiden, who is Tana's ex-boyfriend. Now, this is my least favorite character in the book, I have to say, because he just came across so annoyingly demanding, and I'm just like, can you just go away and leave Tana alone? Like, she shouldn't have to deal with you anymore. However, he does have a redeemable ending. There are qualities about him that made me start to like him, which I appreciated because I love when characters are able to redeem themselves. But throughout the rest of the book, I was just kind of like, didn't really care about his character. But I think you weren't really supposed to like him because it's her ex-boyfriend. Like, you shouldn't like him, so that was probably why. But either way, I just didn't really care for his character until the very end of the book. And then we have my favorite character. I love this guy so much. So that is Gabriel or Gabriel. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name, but I've been pronouncing it Gabriel, so I'm just gonna say that. I love him so freaking much. He was so charming. The way he talks makes him sound older than he is, which I wish I could say why, but it's spoilers, so I'm not going to say it. But throughout this book, in the beginning, I was like, why is he speaking so intellectually? Like, he sounds like he's not from this era. And then we find out why, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But I was like, oh, that makes sense now. I just loved him. He was so funny. The way he talked, especially as I mentioned, was just hilarious. And the thing I love about him the most is he is bad, but he embraces it. He is a character who won't allow anyone to change him. Like, he knows he's bad. He knows that what he does is bad, but he does not care. And he just is a character who is himself in just the best way. I wouldn't say he's like pure evil, but he has certain things that go on in his head and things that he acts upon that is not all that great. But I think the bad side of him just fits his personality so perfectly. I just loved seeing that. Going on to the plot, I felt like this book was so perfectly paced. Specifically, the beginning of the book. I haven't read a more gripping beginning of a book in a long time. This beginning, like the first few pages, just instantly made me want to read more and find out what was going to happen because the beginning was so fast-paced. You're just thrown into this situation where Tana wakes up to find everyone from this party dead, and then her ex-boyfriend is tied up. There's vampires trying to break into the house. Like, it's crazy action happening all at once, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so epic. I could not stop reading it. And then towards the middle, things start to slow down, and I've heard from a lot of people that they don't like how slow paced this is, which I don't understand why, just because the beginning of it was so gripping that when I started this book, I was like, how do people think this is a slow-paced book? I don't understand. But I think what they mean is the middle of the book is really slow-paced, but I think that's needed because the beginning of it was so fast-paced. All this stuff was happening that I felt like if that had been the pacing of the rest of the book, it would have been like too much was going on. So I really liked how the middle part was really slow building and we got to know more of the characters, more of the world. I really liked that, and then the ending of the book picked up again and we were thrown into all this action. I just love how this book is paced. It's paced like no other book I've ever read before. And I think the world building in this was done so well. I will say it is info dumpy in the beginning, but I actually prefer info dumping because there's nothing more frustrating to me than going through a book not understanding the world at all because the author just won't explain it. It's so frustrating. So I actually prefer what this book did, where it just dedicated a whole chapter to explaining the world, and I instantly understood what the world was, how it worked, and I just really like that. So I come to find that I actually like info dumping when most people hate it, but I actually preferred it. It made me understand the world so much better than other books do. The writing really captivated me. I really think Holly Black is going to become a favorite author. I am currently reading The Darkest Part of the Forest, and that book is also so well written. So I just really loved her writing. It flows so beautifully, and it was really easy to read and understand. Overall, if you haven't guessed already, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I think this is the best vampire book I've ever read, definitely better than Twilight. So if you're thinking that this book is going to be too much like Twilight and that's putting you off from it, please don't, because I'm telling you, this is the most unique vampire book I have ever read, and I just love it. I would highly recommend it. It has become one of my favorite supernatural books of all time now. And that was my review on The Coldest Girl in COLDTOWN. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I moved you to pick up the book if you haven't yet. I do plan on reading more by Holly Black. As I mentioned, I am currently reading not The Coldest Girl in COLDTOWN. I already read that. The Darkest Part of the Forest, and I am hoping to finish that soon. And then I'm going to get into her latest release, which is The Cruel Prince. I wanted to read The Coldest Girl in COLDTOWN and The Darkest Part of the Forest before I read The Cruel Prince because I've heard that at least in, I think it's only The Darkest Part of the Forest, that characters from that book show up in The Cruel Prince. So I wanted to start off with that book, even though I'm sure those characters are only canon in The Cruel Prince, but I just wanted to do that anyway. So hoping to get to The Cruel Prince soon because I've heard nothing but great things about it. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for more bookish related videos.